Man, at 61, 61. I know all my wrestling crew is piling in for this video. Let me tell you something about my memories of Virgil as a kid, as a little black boy specifically, growing up. You gotta remember, I came from the time when the black guys always got killed first in the movies. You get what I'm saying? That makes me think I'm going to do a video on the new picture of the Crow that came out for the new Crow that they're doing. And even in that movie, which was the 90s, the black dude got killed first. The Virgil was one of the few black faces that you would see on WWE in a more prominent position, in a position where you're like, oh, like you saw him relatively a lot because he was an essential part of the $1 million man's gimmick. He was always in the back counting the money. And of course he was, the $1 million man's henchman. He was always interfering, causing problems. And as a little kid, I couldn't stand him. But as a kid, I can even still remember it was nice to see a black guy on TV wrestling. Because he was one of the few black men that I would see other than Coco Beware, which was always getting beat up. Bad News Brown. And that's all I can think of around that time. Until Zeus. And Zeus was prominent. Zeus was a killer. Hulk Hogan was scared of Zeus. Like, Zeus was like, whoa. Like, just as my memory as a kid, Zeus was the first black man we saw put in a position like that. It was like, whoa. See, I wasn't watching WCW when I was a kid. So, and I think even like Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas were before I started watching, I think. So I didn't know about all that. So anyway, coincidentally, when I started first working out, everybody thought I was on steroids when I first started taking creatine. And people used to tell me I looked like Tony Atlas. But anyway, so even as a kid, what's interesting is that I can remember kind of not liking the fact that he was the lackey of the rich white man. I can remember that. Like, it's like, yeah, he's on TV, he's wrestling, but he's still a butler. And that's like those are like the parts that, especially back then and even way before then, like, those are only parts you could get on TV and stuff like that. But not back then. Back then, we were in other parts. Plenty of other parts. However, it was one of those things that was like, we still playing butlers? But I was still kind of conscious of that as a kid. But, it's just one of those things, But Virgil, I always wanted to see him excel because I think him and the $1 Million Man split up at one point, didn't they? And they probably had a match and he lost. And he, came over to NWO as Vincent, which was funny because it was like, oh, Virgil, Vincent, that's hilarious, And it was just a shame we never got to see him, go past more than mid-card or play the lackey or the henchman that always got beat up. But he was still likable. You liked him. He was a familiar face. And if you were at a wrestling event, if you saw him, it was like, yo, it's Virgil. Look. Like, he was like, if I saw him today, if he was, alive right now, and I saw him, I would be excited to see him. Because he was a part of two major eras, especially the first one with the golden age of the 80s. He really was, He is a face that is like, you put that poster up of the 80s, WWE, he's there. So he was a part of wrestling history. And it's sad to hear that he went, as a fan, and I figure I'd get up here and spitball and tell you, about, how I felt growing up watching him, but it says here, Michael Jones, the pro wrestling superstar known as Virgil and Soul Train Jones, I never knew that, during his time in the squared circle, has died. The cause of death was not immediately revealed. Mark Charles III, a referee for several smaller pro wrestling promotions, revealed Virgil's death on Facebook. My dear friends, it is with great sorrow that I bring the news from the Jones family of the passing of our beloved Michael Jones, who we know and loved as Virgil, Vincent, Soul Train Jones, and more. Charles wrote, Virgil passed peacefully at the hospital this morning and asked that you pray for his family. It's funny. I think this was even when he was even in the NWO. I could have swore I remember seeing him come out and his hips were crooked. Now check this out. I make sure I see my chiropractor at least once a month. But I used to have to see him more than once a month because I had an issue with my hips. Now one day, I remember I hurt myself and my hips were shifted almost like his. And I was walking crooked, like I saw him walking. Not as prominently, but it reminded me of that. And, I came in, he was like, oh, yeah, he took an x-ray. He was like, yeah, she's it. And as soon as he put me on the table, put it back in place, it was good. And he was like, yeah, he said, what you'll find out, a lot of people are scared to come to chiropractors. But, you come to the right one, we're going to take care of you, And it's like from slips, from falls, from bumps, from car accidents, and just sleeping wrong, sometimes your body gets out of alignment. And that's why you'll see old men walking hunched over. That's why you'll see people walking crooked and limping, because they never come to us for an adjustment. It's like, we're not going to break you. We're not going to kill you. We're just going to adjust you to put you back in place. And I don't know if he had hip surgery. I don't know if it was an injury like mine, like when I fell. And I don't know what it was, but I noticed that with him. And I was like, one hip is really higher than the other. I can clearly see it, And, I don't know. I know some guys are kind of funny about getting worked on by the doctor, but I tell you, the older I got, the more stuff happened. I was like, I gotta make sure I am in tip-top condition. You know what I'm saying? So I make sure I see my physicians. WWE later confirmed his death. The WWE is saddened to learn that Michael Jones, known to WWE fans as Virgil, has passed away. The company announced WWE extends its condolences to the Jones family, friends, and fans. Virgil got his start with Memphis-based Championship Wrestling and later won championships in the American Wrestling. I didn't know that. I was introduced to him at, WWE. Look at this. It says here, Ole Anderson, one of the wrestling's 4 horsemen, dead at 81. Now, I can't make a separate, that's just like, this is breaking too. I can't make a separate video on him because I didn't know Ole. I didn't know Ole. I didn't watch WCW. I mean for years. To me as a kid, they were the bums. The WWE was where they were at. I mean, where kids would say stuff like, WCW, that's like regular guys over there. You know what I mean? Because you had Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, stuff like that over here, while you would have Ric Flair. That's like a regular name. Ole and Arn Anderson, those are regular names. But I had a friend that really liked WCW. He felt it was more real because they were quote-unquote regular guys. Get it? So I find that interesting. Oh, man. He moved on to the World Wrestling Federation, known as WWE now, and became the bodyguard for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He and Ted DiBiase were involved in pivotal moments with the company and had a hand in Andre the Giant beating Hulk Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship nearly 5 years. After nearly 5 years, Virgil was in the corner of DiBiase and Andre in the tag team match against Hogan and Savage. Virgil became a fan favorite as part of a storyline with DiBiase in 1981 Royal Rumble. He defeated DiBiase at Wrestle. Oh, so he beat him for the $1 Million Championship. Okay. The crowd at Los Angeles. All right, so he won that. And that's one I wouldn't have seen. You know why? Because my mom didn't have the money to buy me pay-per-views, and she didn't like me watching wrestling anyway, because it was too violent. He moved on to from the WWF by 1996, found himself with the rival WCW as Vincent. He became security guard for the dominant New World Order, the biggest icon in wrestling, which helped escalate the ratings wars between WWF and WCW. He retired in 2000, but made appearances for other companies, including WWE, sparingly, and All Elite Wrestling as Soul Train Jones in 2019 and 2020. Okay. All right. So after his wrestling career, Virgil became a mainstay at wrestling conventions, signing autographs for fans. He revealed in 2022 he battled a number of health issues, including 2 strokes. Maybe the strokes, I don't know. Dementia, damn. Ooh, I tell you, and second stage colon cancer. God, man. Listen, guys, you got to watch what you eat. You got to take care of yourself. Dementia, they're calling that diabetes type 3 now. See that? They're calling it diabetes type 3. You got to watch what you eat. Strokes, you got to watch what you're eating. You can't have, man, listen, I know how good soul food is. His name was Soul Train Jones. He was probably eating soul food. There's just healthier ways to make soul food. Trust me. Man, strokes. And a lot of bad food causes colon cancer too, man. Lord, that's early. He's young, man. That was young to go. Well, rest in peace, Virgil. Post comments down below. Let me know what you all think.